Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I think our market's actually sort of a weekday today, but we're just holding above that trend line at 5,326. So I suppose it gives us a little bit of hope. But as you know, we said it on I think twice on the weekend. We are sort of expecting a pretty decent pullback on the Dow. I think fundamentally, you look at all the reports that you're hearing in the press at the moment, people are starting to talk about the inflation issues that could come from these Trump policies, and I think the higher interest rates, it's going to bite. And I think we will have a decent pullback in sometime in the next 2 weeks. And I think we'll just wait for that pullback. We're going to wait for that pullback before we put any more 3-year growth stories out or trending shares, because obviously, if we have a decent pullback, this could be a nice little 10-15% retracement. I think once we get that sort of little pullback, then we'll be obviously really happy to jump into some trends and maybe some more 3-year growth stories and an excellent little 10 bagger that we're looking at the moment. I did have a lot of calls today, funny enough, about QBII, and QBII, as you know, it's been a terrible stock now for quite a while. This has come down from as high as nearly up to $36, and it's been hovering around this sort of $10 for a while. For us at Equity Story, it just hasn't done enough yet. One is that fundamentally we don't like it. Secondly, technically, it just hasn't really, for us, broken through those trend lines with sort of any decent sort of momentum. What we want to see at Equity Story is similar really to BHP, what we put on the other day. We want to see, look at BHP when it broke that trend, absolutely terrible. And we're not interested in trying to pick these bottoms. It's too difficult. But what we like at Equity Story is we start seeing the stock have a decent move above the trend lines. For us, that shows us the story's back on. And what we want to do is hopefully pick this rise. I mean, BHP could come back a little bit, could come back as low as $24. But what we want to do is try and pick this $24 to $30 or $35. For us, that's the easier money to make, and this is the hard money. So we want to try and pick these stocks when we believe that the trend is back on. I think a classic example of that also is Woolworths. If you look at Woolworths over the last, I think I'll go back in time. If you look at Woolworths in 2012, are we good enough to pick that bottom here at 24? No, it's too difficult. Does it get interesting? Yeah. This looks a little bit like BHP. Again, starting to have a decent swing above that long-term moving average. Starting to get interesting, and then bang, then she has that move up, and these are the easier little, and then had a nice move up, from $28 to $36. These are the easier moves to pick. Trying to pick bottoms is just too difficult. And if you look at Woolworths now, it's quite an interesting little story. It's come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, and it couldn't break through the moving average. And every time it does, it can't have a decent move up. So to me, Woolworths looks like it's just going to be trading sideways. It looks a little bit, I've just got no interest in it. I mean, you could maybe try and range trade this a little bit now, but for me, it's just not what we do here at Equity Story. Again, we said it the other day that Telstra, a classic example of, I think, obviously, since it broke the trend up here at $6, it's just looked terrible. It's come down, found a little bit of support on that 200-day moving average, and you see it's had this little move similar to what Woolworths has had recently, and bang, down she goes again. And what you want to do is try and squash these charts up, to try and look at some sort of longer-term support, and you see that $5 arguably is some sort of support. It's broken that, and for me, Woolworths just looks absolutely terrible. It looks like it's coming a lot lower. So $4.50, I think, is definitely in the cards in the short term, maybe even $4. So I think looking at these long-term moving averages, I mean, at the moment, Equity Story, because the way the market moves, we are looking largely at weekly charts and using the dailies as guidance. In a real bull market, it'll be the opposite, really. We'll be working a lot harder on those daily charts and maybe looking at the weeklies as a bit of guidance. But at the moment, certainly Telstra, if you're in it, I wouldn't be in it. I'd be selling the stock. I think fundamentally it's got issues at the moment, and technically it shows. And again, sort of even broken that 200-day moving average. I think it looks pretty scary. I think what I would like to talk about tonight, just a few interesting little stories, and I think one of those that's actually starting to look really good is little Eden Energy. Again, I suppose you could argue it's a little bit of a Trump play. This Eden Energy is it's one of our 10 baggers. It's one we actually put on at 4 cents. So I don't know, what are we up there? Up at already about 400% in Eden Energy. It's a fantastic company. It's got this new type of concrete, half the price to produce, twice as strong. State of Georgia in the States is building a factory, and they're going to be doing a lot of infrastructure with Eden Energy. And obviously, I think with Trump and I don't know about building the wall, but apparently it's going to be a fence now. But certainly Trump with increased infrastructure spending in the United States, Eden Energy could be actually could have a nice little move up now. It's had a good move up today, up to 25, and certainly could possibly retest that sort of 30 cents level. If you don't know about the story Eden Energy, go to the website, read up about it. It is a really exciting story, and you know, I think definitely. I mean, if you close your eyes and came back in 2 years, I think Eden Energy is going to obviously be a lot higher than it is now. That's all I've got to talk about really tonight on Equity Story. I look forward to bringing you this report tomorrow night. Thank you and good night.